I can hear it now. Fans take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they form the big block in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
It wasn't pretty if you're not a fan of old school Michigan football, but if you are a fan of old school Michigan football, it was pretty nice. I no complaints, overall. I mean, coming out with a win, there's stuff to complain about, but
my Kalel Mullings shirt answered a lot of answers any questions about raised by my Kalel Mullings shirt, I guess. The only question I got, a lot of people came up to me after the game and like, "Hey man, great game, way to go, Mullings." And so I just want to clarify for people that Kalel Mullings is not a middle-aged, overweight Jewish man.
You're not Kalel Mullings?
I'm very different people, but I am a big fan of Kalel Mullings.
I was thinking during that game, what would it be like to be able to move that fast? Like I would like for like 10 minutes. Like I'd like 10 minutes of being able to run like that.
I would probably play football instead of staying up all night writing about it and watching it. But who knows?
Nice.
So I probably don't have the personal makeup to become a Kalel Mullings either, because I actually had that guy in class. When I did Dooley's class, I go and speak to. I do a lecture every year on the magicians and Chris Chrysler and where the helmet comes from, and get into history of racism in college football. And Mullings was in the class and asked a couple good questions. So I have a picture somewhere of him wearing the old-fashioned Mad Magician's helmet.
Nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So definitely a positive outcome. I think some momentum. The one thing I kept thinking about during the game is, what if we had just stuck with the initial plan of Orji, throughout all the fall, and would Texas have looked the way it did, with a semi-functional Orji at quarterback?
Well, I mean, the semi-functional Orji makes everything nicer, but I'm glad you asked, because I thought we'd get into some of the ways that they did use him, because as you get into the tape, there were some interesting things they had. And it certainly seems like things that they could have developed on. I don't know if they beat Texas with this stuff, but I just kind of want to show you the difference that he makes sometimes in like the same kinds of plays. So here's a play from the USC game. This is going to be a counter run, and it's using the fact that they're running a lot of split zones, so they're running Zach Marshall across the formation, and expecting them to kind of think that they're going to kick out and run this way. Then he turns around, and it's a counter run, okay? Now, they're looking at him, but they're not reading him, really. There's maybe an RPO read to keep this guy back here. But really, watch how this run develops. Okay, it's a counter run, so you're going to have a kick out, or in this case, the kick out's going to turn into a turn in because this guy comes down. So that works. Jadis has his block, turn in, fine. Your next block, he becomes the kick out because that guy, so now here's your second block. There's your second defender. Boom. Okay. Now you got the third defender who's the unblocked guy. Look where he meets Edwards. Right, 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, and your safety's already down here. So they're not respecting the possibility of a run. When you watch that guy, what happened to him? Why is he so involved in this play? All right? Here he is already stepping down when the quarterback has the ball. You're not worried about pass. And understandably, not worried about a pass. So you have to do something with that guy. If you have a running quarterback, unless he's going to be passing just as well as he's running, you have to do something with that guy. And one thing you could do is just make the quarterback the running back, and then have the running back go somewhere else, and that pulls everybody away. So here's a similar play. They're actually running bash. I know Brian said they didn't run any bash. They ran one. They've got a unbalanced formation. Marshall here's covered, but he's also wearing a club, so no one's going to think he's going out for a pass anyway. So they motion him out there. They actually, this should have been called. That's a false start. You can't have two guys motioning at the same time. But anyway, he's supposed to go after the snap. There goes Edwards. He's got Samaj Morgan trailing behind him. And look at the reaction. Look at this guy. See how he's all the way on the hash and his motion's taking him that way? The safety is rolling up. All this material for the defense is on this side. Now they're reading this guy. Okay, so this is actually there's a live read, and if he comes in and crashes on Orji, then he gives the ball off, and then you get to run into all this space with these guys. He's out here taking that away. Orji keeps it, and now let's go through the same blocks that we went through last time. Okay, we got the same kind of deal. There's the first lead block. He gets his kick out. Boom. Okay, good block. Second block, it's this guy all the way down here. Right, there's your lead blocker. It's Link coming through here. Gives Link a little shove to get into him. But look, there's your second blocker, and it's happening at the line of scrimmage. Here's your third blocker. Look how far away he is. And that, I mean, this is Alex Orji. He's taking off as soon as he knows it's a run. But he's rolling up. He's watching this. He's worried because, you got all this speed going the opposite direction, and he's going to be the free hitter. He's the one who's responsible for the ball.
Yeah, and you get Orji one-on-one with a smaller guy. I mean, he's got a chance to break those tackles. He gets into space quickly.
Sure.
It looked like the line was more functional on some of those pulls this week. I know we have a lot of talk about Cadiz and Crippen right now, but the line did look better. How's it charting out so far as you look at it?
Brian's doing the charting on the line, so we'll have to ask him. I'm very interested to see how Crippen did, because just my eye test when I watched it, I thought Crippen was doing better. But I just kind of want to talk conceptually, right? We've been saying, what are we doing with Orji? And one of the things is just turning our runs into quarterback runs. So here's one that worked against Arkansas State, right, where we pitch it out to the running back. And we get a couple guys going after Orji, but that's kind of a one-time trick. But you can actually run this with Orji, right? There's Donovan Edwards. He goes out that direction. He goes out there, right, because they're not trusting. Here's that safety, right, that free hitter. He's stepping out there because that's right. If you have Edwards get wide of him, that's a defensive end, you have all this space for him to run. So he's got to watch that. And he's slow, and even though you don't get great blocking, you still get a pretty good gain out of it because that's the guy. That's the last hitter.
Yeah, okay? I mean, we're doing a good job on those plays of putting conflict on the decision making of the secondary right there, and that's
we are, we aren't. So one of the things they're doing is Michigan does not seem to know there's a difference between their running backs, and if they want to take the next step here, I think that they have to start understanding who their personnel is and what they're doing with them, because they really they're one whatever, and whatever our running back is up at that time, they're not putting them both on the field at the same time. So now they're running the same thing. It's the same play we just saw, except for this was with Mullings, okay? We have Mullings go out the other direction. He doesn't really draw that much, all right? And now, look, you have a lot more reaction to that side. Now, Mullings is a great running back, okay? I think he's a better running back than Donovan Edwards, but he's not a great space back. He's not a receiving back, right? He's not in this kind of usage. He's not that dangerous. In fact, we saw when they ran power read versus Texas, we saw exactly what he's like. So, they get him out here on a power read. He's the one out in space. Here's the safety coming down. That's just not his game, right? He's not to get out in space and then make that cut and then just kill you with speed. That's Donovan Edwards' job, right? So they have different guys, but they do have a guy in Mullings who can block a little bit. And it's weird. Every time they've run something like Bash, or, in this case, this is another similar kind of deal where it's, a possible pitch out or a possible handoff right here. And the idea is to get everybody stepping the wrong way, and then they run a stretch out this side. They're running Edwards as a lead blocker. And he does get a reaction. But if you want to do this with him as Edwards and him as Mullings, that's going to get even more of a reaction, right? Because you're going to get this, you have a fullback basically leading out in front of them. And that stretches the defense, right? It has, there's a threat here, there's a threat here, there's a threat over here. They're not that great at blocking, but you could get more out of your personnel, I think, if you are realizing what you got. So they got Samaj Morgan, but they got Donovan Edwards lead blocking. He's worried about Donovan Edwards in space. But, I mean, if that was Kalel Mullings and that's Donovan Edwards, you have a plus blocker going in front of him. And, if you're going to run Mullings outside anyway, kind of want you to do a little bit of, put them both on the field at the same time. Have all of that out there at the same time.
Any more thought or, talk about, have you heard anything about getting Edwards a ball receiver? Because it just seems like we got nothing outside of the tight ends right now.
No, and this has been a thing that, like, it's another one of those deals that you had to really start doing in January. It's not easy to be a receiver. Now, you could have a guy run a route, like a ghost route, a couple times, and then, the defense isn't keyed on it. Once they figure out what you're doing, they're going to adjust to it. They should be using him as like a topper, as a guy who just, they run him downfield a little bit, and that's going to pull the safeties back a little bit because it's just speed, right? And then if Orji can hit some downfield shots, but I think they've been wanting to do that with Moore and whatnot. The thing is, you can use him as such a matchup. And now you have Mullings established as he's such a danger downhill, and you got Orji back there too. You want to add threats, and the one thing we haven't seen a lot from this offense, except for the Rose Bowl last year, is really using the personnel they have as threats, as like thinking ahead of time of how the defense is going to overreact, even by a step. It just takes a little step to get that kind of space.
Right.
So if you can get them stepping the wrong way for just one step, because it's Donovan Edwards going outside instead of Khalil Mullings, then that matters. You saw how much it mattered, right? They don't freak out about Mullings going sideways. Now, Mullings going downhill, they're going to start freaking out about that. So you're going to want to start using Edwards as a possible guy in the going sideways as a horizontal stretch, because what they're going to do is probably have safety stepping down as soon as they see Mullings coming downhill. Anyway, my voice is gone from yelling about the game.
No, you're good. Do you think
there's
a chance that I would like to see both of them. I'd like to see Mullings out front blocking for Edwards. I'd like to see them both on the field. I think there's a chance that comes into play a little bit more.
I think they're going to have to look at it now, obviously, because, they're still going to want to use Donovan Edwards as much as they can. It's not often you have a 5-star as the cover athlete on the NCAA game. But, Khalil Mullings is your RB1 now. And, you're going to ride that guy as long as he's got the team on his back. So I hate saying we'll see, but, it's something to look out for, right? If you're a fan, you're out there watching this week against Minnesota, see who's on the field, see if they put the both on the field together, and see how it's stretching somebody. You could spend a play watching Edwards, even when he doesn't have the ball, and watch that safety and see how he reacts. Find the guy who relates to the running back, who's the free hitter, right? And if you see that guy and see how he's reacting, then you can that's a tell of whether the offense is starting to use their material to create more space for themselves, or if they're just asking their players to create themselves.
Yeah. Speaking of which, not having Loveland in this game seemed like, especially with Orji getting, his first start, to not have sort of a safety net out there. What's the prognosis look like? I haven't really heard much.
I have no idea. I don't have any insider track right now, so it's it's bad to lose a guy like Loveland. Keep in mind though, the problem with the passing game is they can't pass. Period. They could not pass against US. They couldn't pass protect. So even when they drop back, I couldn't really tell. Maybe Brian will be able to tell a little bit on UFR, but when I was rewatching the game a couple times, I did not see anything that I could really tell about Orji as a passer, except, maybe he missed one guy downfield or could have had a quicker trigger on something, but it's really hard to tell because he's under siege. And, maybe that's a GD's Crippen thing, because I saw GD's have a couple breakdowns, but mostly an Evan Link thing. And Evan Link is, if that guy's going to be out there, he had a couple impact blocks as a runner, including on, the Khalil Mullings wears a guy's a cape run. Yeah. He's the one who clears that out. So my guess, I don't know anything. I don't know any insider stuff. My guess is that they looked at Evan Link and they looked at Gentry and they said, okay, these guys are both heavy run blockers, but Link has a lot more upside and neither one of them can pass protect, so might as well go with the young guy. That's my guess.
Yeah.
If Andrew Gentry is even remotely passable as a pass blocker, I think they're going to have to start exploring it, because not being able to pass at all, you can't expect, a 56-yard run from Khalil Mullings every single time you are down 4 with 4 minutes left. And it's not like they got an easy schedule this year, especially with some teams that we're not looking tough in the preseason, starting to look a lot tougher like Indiana and Illinois, maybe even Michigan State. So
yeah, Illinois
they're going to be in
sneaking
some
into
games
the
this
top
year.
20. Wow. Like that's going to be a matchup. I think that going into this game against Minnesota, there's, do you want to pass the ball? If the runs work, but I think you gotta take a chance at seeing what we got if there are opportunities there.
You got to find someone who can pass protect. If you can't pass protect for 3 seconds, or for 2 seconds, or 1 second, I mean, if you can pass protect for 3 seconds, you got a passing game. If you can pass protect for 2 seconds, you got a passing game. They can't pass protect for 1 second right now. It's just. It's a complete black hole, and I don't.
Yeah, we chalked some of that up against Texas to like the defensive line just being really good, and having some dudes up there. But
we've seen enough now in enough games to have a sense of what it is. So.
It's 4 games knowing that almost every time we drop back, that somebody's going to be in the quarterback's face, and they're going to have to be able to either step in or take a hit, and that's just how it's going to be. It seems, but. Kind of a chance to lick your wounds a little bit this week, maybe with Minnesota, or how are they looking so far?
They're not wounded. These guys, this is a tough team, and they've got a fantastic defense. Man, I finished the UFR. Well, I finished the charting of the UFR, and I'm doing the write up right now when we record this. So, there were like 5, errors, and 4 of them are easily correctable. So, I don't think you're going to have. I think that the defense is all systems go, and I think we ran into a really elite offense against Texas, and Michigan did what they normally do against elite offenses, except for Washington's. So, Washington game last year stands out. Not at that level yet, but they're at the level they were against Ohio State last year, and this defense could go and play Ohio State right now. The offense could not. So that's kind of why I was doing that with our show, and hey, we just won a national championship. We're not dying this is not a destructo team.
Yeah.
Bowling's the guy you can hit your heart to. And I just want, let's have some fun with this season. And, let's understand what they are. They're a good defense with a team that doesn't have a quarterback who can throw the ball or pass protectors who could give them a chance to throw the ball. So let's see what they come up with. It's going to take a little ingenuity to get themselves an offense. Probably not going to see a ton of it. But let's see this develop now. It's a little late to develop the whole thing, right? To have a big Orji offense that's going to be top 30. But maybe they can climb into the top 60 with some of the talent they have and use Orji in certain ways. And, they got offensive minds that seen football played before. And, talk to some high school coaches. They've seen everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was nice to end a Saturday with a win. Always nice talking to you. I didn't do any plug at the start, but realtorandlender.com rates are really good. Got somebody at 5.99 on a refi. So really good compared to where they were at 8 before. So all things are good on my end with that. I always love talking to you, Seth. Go Blue this weekend. What do you got? Let's do some scores real quick. We picked last week and I was only 3 points off. My pick was pretty good. So I'm gonna go 32-16 for the good guys.
All right, 33-6.
All right, I like it. I like the 6.
And I think a couple of those are defensive scores.
All right, I'll take it. Awesome. Yep. Well, have a good week. Go Blue.
Go Blue. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.